Good morning. It's Thursday morning. We're going to read from Acts. What are we on? Chapter 7, verses 9 through 16. He's just mentioned Jacob became the father of the 12 patriarchs. And the patriarchs, jealous of Joseph, sold him into Egypt, but God was with him and rescued him out of all his afflictions, and gave him favor and wisdom before Pharaoh, king of Egypt, who made him ruler over Egypt and over all his household. Now there came a famine throughout all Egypt and Canaan, and great affliction, and our fathers could find no food. But when Jacob heard that there was grain in Egypt, he sent out our fathers on their first visit. And on the second visit, Joseph made himself known to his brothers, and Joseph's family became known to Pharaoh. And Joseph sent and summoned Jacob his father and all his kindred, 75 persons in all. And Jacob went down into Egypt, and he died, he and our fathers, and they were carried back to Shechem, and laid in the tomb that Abraham had bought for a sum of silver from the sons of Hamor in Shechem. So we remember that story, of course. I think you remember it. Joseph and the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, right? Well, there's a real story here. Joseph is the second to the youngest of 12 brothers, and the other brothers are jealous of Joseph. And so one day when they're out in the fields, they decide to kill him. But the older brother says, let's not kill him, let's sell him into slavery. And a caravan comes along, and so they sell him to this caravan. And off he goes to Egypt, where he has a number of adventures. All the father is told is that his son is dead, because they take his cloak and they smear some blood on it from an animal, and then they go back and say, see, he's been killed by a bear or something. Well, Joseph goes to Egypt and becomes the... Oh, what is he? He's not the cupbearer. He's the something to Pharaoh. And eventually he's put in prison, but he interprets the dreams of the other prisoners. So when the cupbearer of Pharaoh is let out of prison and goes back, and Pharaoh is having troubling dreams, he says, oh, you've got the guy who can interpret dreams right here in your prison. And so Joseph comes out of prison, interprets the dream, and eventually becomes something like the prime minister of Egypt. He's the administrator, and he saves up a great deal of food during the good years because he knows that bad times are coming. And when they come, there's grain stored up, and that's why his brothers come to see the grain, because they know they've heard that there's grain there. Well, it's their brother who has saved up the grain. So there's a grand reunion, and all these people come and settle in Egypt. I don't know how much of that story we know. What Stephen is doing here, though, is reminding these council members of their own history and their own and the legacy of the fathers, and how God's plan works and is going to work, and he's going to keep going, as I say, for like another 30 verses. But eventually he gets to Jesus, and he doesn't go through everything in the whole Old Testament, so don't panic. But it is quite a long speech. So what I hope you can do today is think about that, and think about, you could go back and read some of that story. It's toward the end of Genesis, maybe the last 15 or 20 chapters, and you could read about Joseph and Egypt. And I hope you will, and I hope you have a great Thursday.